And joining us to discuss this day and what tomorrow will mean to so many, Holocaust historian and author of How Could This Happen? Explaining the Holocaust, Dr. Dan McMillan. Dr. McMillan, thank you so much for joining us. And before we even start with our conversation, we do want to warn our viewers that some of the images we're sharing in this segment might be a little bit upsetting, but of course we want to show the facts in order to tell the story. And Dr. McMillan, in your book, you not only speak of the horrors of the Holocaust, the motives of Hitler and his fanatical followers, but you also write about the millions of ordinary Germans who shared responsibility for this tragedy. Explain that.
Yes, it's the thing that's interesting is that Germany, wartime Germany, was awash in information about the Holocaust. Millions of German soldiers who'd witnessed or heard about mass shootings of Jewish civilians behind the lines of the Eastern Front when they came home on leave. Information beamed into Germany by the BBC, which people listened to. The deportations of the remaining Jewish population in various cities and towns in Germany to the east. There was always a lot of publicity about that. And the German government itself, without directly saying what it was doing, and certainly not talking about gas chambers, made death threats against the Jewish people, talked in general terms, and also presented World War II as effectively a war against the Jews, claiming that Jews controlled the governments of the three main powers against which Germany was fighting, namely the Soviet Union, the United States, and the United Kingdom. What did the average German know? I think they knew their government was murdering Jews by at least the hundreds of thousands. There's little evidence that most Germans saw the Europe-wide scope of the process. Very few people actually knew about extermination camps like Auschwitz and Treblinka. And on the other hand, and I've also been told this by German friends who lived through that era, those who lived in towns and cities that still had Jewish populations, it seemed to be generally understood that deportation to the east, as they called it, being put on the trains, was a death sentence. So those are some of the things we can say. It's a very complex and interesting question, but you could say that they knew a lot, but in the end, very few people could understand the whole scale of it because it was unprecedented. And even today, it kind of stretches the boundaries of our imagination.
Dr. McMillan, throughout my career, I've done stories about Holocaust Remembrance Day, and those I speak with always say, anytime an anti-Semitic action happens, it's so important that we highlight it so much in today's day and age, because once anti-Semitism kind of gets out of the box, so to speak, it's hard to put it back in here. And now we've seen what's happened with the war and how it spread throughout our university and collegiate campuses around the country here. And I think that's a perfect example of what I've been told from others here. So how important is it that we educate the nation on this, especially our young people, and let them know anytime anti-Semitism happens, it truly is a big deal?
Well, I think 33, I believe, of our federal states do not have a legal mandate for Holocaust instruction in their schools, and I think that's a very grave error. I think that we need to educate people about the Holocaust. I think that altogether, I would like to see us do a better job of educating our young people, teaching our young people foreign languages, because, at least speaking from my own personal experience learning German and Spanish, because I had to be fluent in German to do all of my research for my dissertation and for this book, that learning a foreign language really gives you the ability to kind of step into the shoes of someone from another culture and see that there is a way of looking at things, a point of view that's very different from your own. I guess the most important thing that I would like to see happen in this country, people might not associate with the Holocaust at all, but I think that it would be really good if we would all remind ourselves more often of what it means to be an American, that this is a special country that stands for ideals. We are really the only country that stands for ideals. Every other country, membership in the nation depends on race, religion, ethnicity, some aspect of culture, language. Well, this is the only country, the only nation, the only people who are defined by ideals. And this, I think, is a way for all of us to get back on the same page and remember how special we all are as Americans. And remember that being an American has nothing to do with the color of your skin or your religion. I know that doesn't sound directly germane to the Holocaust, but I guess that's what I most wish for us at this time.
Well, you can't go wrong with calling for unity and education and people appreciating, especially young people, how tremendous of a nation that we have. And,
That's right.
you know, the things can go wrong, and we have to protect that here in the United States. Dr. Dan McMillan, sir, we thank you for coming on and speaking about that. And again, tomorrow, Holocaust Remembrance Day.
That's right.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.